Have you ever felt like your brain is just wired a little differently than everyone else's? Well, today we're going to dive right into that. We're exploring the psychology behind what makes a mind truly smart. And here's a hint, it has way less to do with your report card and a whole lot more to do with your everyday thoughts.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if everything we've been taught to measure, how fast you can answer a question, how well you do on a test, isn't the whole story? What if the real clues to intelligence are hiding in plain sight, in the habits you have every single day?
And that's the big idea we're unpacking today. Psychological research is showing us that intelligence often shows up in these specific patterns of thinking and behaving. And hey, you might just recognize a few of them in yourself.
Okay, so first things first, before we get into the signs, we have to kind of redefine what smart even means. This is going to set the stage for everything else. I absolutely love this slide because it shows the two sides of the coin so clearly. On the left, you've got the common view, right? It's all about performance, about spitting out the right answer. But on the right, you have the psychological view, which is all about the process. It suggests that being smart isn't about already having the answers. It's about how you act when you don't. That's a huge shift. Keep that idea in your back pocket as we go.
All right, let's jump into our first set of signs. These are all about how a truly intelligent mind chews on and processes the world around it.
Okay, this first sign might actually throw you for a loop. We're always told that overthinking is this terrible, anxiety-fueled habit. But for really smart people, it's often powered by curiosity. It's not just useless worrying, it's this deep need to take things apart and see how all the pieces connect. And there's actually a name for this.
Psychologists call it cognitive reflection, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that ability to hit the pause button on your gut reaction and ask, wait a minute, is there another way to look at this? When you do that, you're not being indecisive. You're actually engaging in some pretty complex problem solving. Are you the person who ends up on a 2-hour Wikipedia deep dive at 1 a.m. about something totally random? Or are you always that person asking, but why? That's not a distraction, my friend. That is a massive sign of intellectual hunger. It's literally the fuel that keeps a smart mind running.
And listen, this isn't just a hunch. There's real data on this. A study out of the University of London made a direct link between high IQs and a personality trait they call openness to experience, which is just a fancy way of saying you're curious, you're imaginative, and you're not afraid of new ideas. So yeah, that curiosity, it's a legit dimension of intelligence.
You ever notice how, in a lot of situations, the smartest person in the room isn't the one talking the most? That's because they're busy doing something else, processing. Instead of jumping in to dominate the conversation, they're listening, they're watching, and they're picking up on all the little things that everybody else is missing. And this is a very active skill. It's called active observation, and it is anything but passive. It's about taking in everything at once, not just what's being said, but the tone, the body language, the unspoken logic of what's happening. As you can see, it's this incredible blend of high-level intellectual processing and serious emotional intelligence.
Okay, let's keep building on this because our next sign is maybe one of the most counterintuitive of them all. We're going to talk about the humble mind. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can self-doubt be a good thing? But a little bit of it can actually be a sign of some serious intelligence. It's not a weakness. It's actually a side effect of being deeply self-aware. It means you understand just how much you don't know. This slide just nails the contrast. On the left, you've got intellectual humility. That's the superpower of knowing your own limits, which is what keeps you curious and ready to learn. And on the right, you have its polar opposite, the infamous Dunning-Kruger effect. That's the weird cognitive glitch where people who know the least about something are often the most confident in their expertise. So that little voice of doubt you have, it's not a flaw. It's your brain's built-in defense against overconfidence.
All right, for our fifth and final sign, let's turn inward and explore the rich, private world that often comes with a really sharp intellect. We all know the stereotype, right? The brilliant but lonely genius working away in isolation. But is there actually any truth to that? Why is it that so many intelligent people genuinely seem to like being by themselves?
Well, science gives us a pretty direct answer. A study from the British Journal of Psychology actually found that for highly intelligent folks, more socializing can lead to less happiness. It's not because they're grumpy, it's because their brains are wired to crave something else, uninterrupted space to really dig into ideas and think things through. And this is the part that's so crucial to understand. It's not about being antisocial or not liking people. It's about how you recharge your mental battery. For a lot of smart people, solitude is where they plug in and get energized. Constant small talk, on the other hand, can feel like a total drain. Solitude is their workshop. So, let's do a quick recap. We've got the 5 big psychological signs. Productive overthinking, which we now know is really cognitive reflection, that relentless, insatiable curiosity, the quiet power of active observation, the surprising strength in intellectual humility, and finally, that deep enjoyment of solitude. And I really want to leave you with this idea because it's so powerful. If you see yourself in these traits, the constant analysis, the quiet watching, the need to be alone to think, you're not weird. You might just be wired for a deeper level of thinking. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. Looking back at those 5 signs, which one really resonates with you? Which one feels like your mind's signature move? Because just recognizing it, well, that's the first step to owning what makes your intelligence unique.